Good evening. I'd like to call to order this King George County Board of Supervisors budget public hearing. We'll start off with invocation, and then we will have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Granger. Thank you, everyone. I'll now open the floor up for public comment. Is anyone here for public comment? They can come up and for 3 minutes, ma'am. And when you come up to the podium, if you could just state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Thanks for coming out.
Sherry Dennison, 16513 Stony Knoll Road, King George, Shiloh District. I guess I'm here for the last hurrah. My family has been in King George since, well, before it was King George County. And I'd like to be able to stay here. My property assessments went up 43%. I'm not going to address the portion that is in land use because I don't really know how that's affected. I'm assuming it will be similarly. Looking at the property that's not in land use, that increased by 53%. When I apply a 64-cent tax rate to that, the result is an increase of 34%. That's 1/3. 1/3. I don't see how you see that as acceptable for a tax increase. Are there really no alternatives to that? Do you not see what's happening to the economy today? In order for my tax bill to stay the same, the rate would have to be set at 48 cents. 48 cents. My plea is that you will come a little bit closer to that number. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dennison. Anyone else for public comment? Seeing none. Mr. Dines, anyone online?
No, Mr. Chair.
Anybody have any correspondence that need to be read? Okay. Then I will close public comment. Mr. Granger?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Just quickly, I know before we get to the public hearing, I'd like to, I wish to disclose that my wife, Joyce Granger, is currently employed by the King George County School Board. Based on the disclosure previously given of this interest, this does not pose a legal conflict and I can participate in budget decisions fairly, objectively, and in the public's interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Granger. Mrs. Bender, you have something as well?
Yes, I would like to recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals, Ms. Tricia Molnar.
Second.
We have a motion properly second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, Mrs. Bender. All right, action item. Mr. Miller? Or I'm sorry, no, we skipped over my handwriting here. I'm sorry. The King George County Board of Supervisors will now hold a public hearing that has been properly advertised to receive public input regarding the fiscal year 2022-2023 operating budget. I will first ask for the staff report, then I will open the floor for public comment. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker in order to afford everyone an opportunity to speak. Please state your name and address before you comment. Upon completion of public comment, I will bring the matter back to the board for consideration. The board may or may not take action tonight depending on information received during public comment.
We have a report Mr. Dines. But you also have it in front of you as well. I will go ahead and present to you the FY 22-23 budget for the public hearing. Don't necessarily have to walk through all of these, but the budget process, and we have gone over it before. You can see it is a very lengthy process, and of course, I think the interruption that occurred because of the Commonwealth's difficulty coming to an agreement on the budget obviously kind of lended to this being pushed off a little bit. But you can see that we started in November, and a number of things happened early on, and you all first began the process at late February, and as Mr. Granger pointed out, it was a long process, and we appreciate your commitment to this process. I first of all would like to say that from my standpoint, I'd like to thank Donna Hahn and her staff, Levita Cobb, and all of the department heads for their work, the schools as well. And of course, I think the last but not least is your effort and what you guys were able to do in terms of going through a pretty laborious task of putting this budget together. So I think that I know that you all have dedicated a great amount of time and have really been very thoughtful in your review, and what you have in front of you is a compilation of that hard work. So, so tonight we're doing the public hearing on the Board of Supervisors budget, and then next Wednesday, if everything goes according to plan, we would have you all adopt and appropriate the budgeted funds. Next. So the challenges that we did face, obviously, were uncertainty over the Commonwealth of Virginia budget, increased need for capital projects in excess of landfill revenue, maintaining public safety recruitment and retention, and that includes also the fire and rescue in there as well. Property reassessment, obviously, that was a major challenge, and I think that you all handled that very well. Inflation as a result of the pandemic, we're obviously having historic rates right now of inflation, and I think that we've done a good job of trying to address that. County growth continues on the residential side, and of course the challenges that the schools face, and the increases for the regional jail and juvenile detention facilities in our participation in those regional facilities. So the county's operating budget is an annual fiscal plan providing actionable, concise information about county financial activities and policies. It serves as a roadmap to implement the Board of Supervisors' priorities. In preparing the budget, the staff was mindful that the budget environment continues to feature a degree of economic uncertainty and continues to be a serious challenge. The FY23 budget continues Board of Supervisor policies for fiscal responsibility and service delivery, especially in the following areas: public safety, recruitment and retention, education, social services, employee compensation, capital projects and debt management, and then facility maintenance. Most of the FY22 revenues are on pace to exceed budgeted amounts and to exceed the FY21 revenues. At the end of FY22, the Revenue Stabilization Fund will be replenished, and therefore the FY23 budget is built without using this fund or fund balance. The fiscal year 23 budget includes new revenue from real estate tax increase associated with completing the courthouse, a new radio system for public safety, a new fire station, and additional revenue for schools. The FY23 budget continues investing in the workforce, bringing pay for staff to a living wage at a minimum. And then the FY23 budget continues to address core needs of a growing population with impacts to schools, public safety, and social services and county services. The budget is a fiscally responsible in accordance with county financial policies. So here are the major statistics. Budget is $109,267,366. Represents a 12.18 increase over the current year adopted budget. School associated expenditures, including operating grants and cafeterias, are $59,156,630, which is a 12.64% increase. The current adopted budget is 54% of the total budget is represented by the school expenditures. Non-school expenditures are approximately $50,110,736. And that's 11.65% increase over the current year adopted budget. And that again represents about 46% of the total budget. So the proposed budget includes a tax increase associated with debt for completion of the courthouse, new radio system for public safety, a new fire station, and additional revenue for schools. And after the reassessment, the lower tax rate would be 54 cents per 100 of assessed valuation. The budget work session on May 24th, 2022, the Board of Supervisors adopted a rate of 64 cents, resulting in a 10-cent increase in the real estate tax. Each penny on a real estate tax rate results in $393,699 of revenue. Per the previous slide, the non-school expenditures of $50,110,000, $50,110,000, broken down by the various categories: $16,173,000 for public safety, $7.3 million for debt service, $6.5 million, a little over $6.5 million for Department of Social Services, a little under $3 million for court services and constitutional officers, and $4.1 million for capital improvements fund, includes funds for 3 major projects. For institutions outside agencies and Virginia Department of Health, just a shy under $2 million at $1,922,000. And then for general government operations, which include the library, parks and recreation, general government operations, public works and tourism, you're a little over $11 million represented in this budget. So the highlights, property tax and other tax revenues increased by about $8,461,000 over the current year. $21,100,000 in local funding is proposed to schools. It's an increase of $3,100,000 over the current year. The school ADM is represented as $4,405. Funding also is included of $161,427 increase over current year for the obligations that we have to the regional jail and the juvenile detention center. Revenue from the state for constitutional officers was estimated at a 3% increase. Uncertainty as to final state revenue numbers for county operations to include school operations is also something that you should know. We also have a full year funding that is included for 3 new positions: public information officer, procurement manager, and a maintenance technician. Half-year funding is included for 3 new positions in the Department of Emergency Management and 2 new positions for courthouse security. The budget continues the step grade system for public safety and the increase in certification pay. Funding is included for COLA and merit increases for county employees. And the budget includes increasing pay for employees who are below the living wage of $32,000 per year. We're bringing all those people up to above that, to that range, which is a great move, I think, because we hope that will help attract those entry-level workers that we so desperately depend on and need and would like to have some more stability in those areas. The budget includes a 3% reduction in health insurance costs, and the budget includes a 2.58 increase in the Virginia retirement system contributions. The state revenue, we are looking at 39% of our county budget is state revenue, and that represents $42,125,736. $33,986,000 for schools, $3,107,000 for the social services / CSA, a little over $1,137,000 for the sheriff, $316,398 for the Commonwealth Attorney, and $273,692 for the Clerk of Circuit Court. And then, as you can see on the bottom, you go further down, $134,000 for Commissioner of Revenue, $154,000 for the library treasurers, $104,000, $60,000 for the registrar, $2.1 million in PPTRA, and $702,802 for in grants and other miscellaneous revenues round out the state revenue that we do receive. Proposed revenues for FY 22-23. General property taxes in, you can see the difference between the adopted FY 21-22 and what the proposed 22-23 looks like. So in general property taxes, we're proposing to go from a little over $31 million in general property taxes to $39,489,000. Other local taxes represent a little shy in 21, the current year budget. It represented a little shy of 12 million at 11,954,000. And in the proposed FY 22-23 budget, we're proposing a $10,645,000 total. License permits and fees up a little bit, a little over $1 million, or maybe just under $1 million, probably 500,000 in license permits and fees. Other local revenue is also up in FY 22-23 by about $400,000. The state money, again, we showed you how that was broken out, but state money is a little over $4 million increase. Federal money, we are always happy to get federal money. That is a little bit over $200,000 more this year. And then the non-revenue receipts represent a fall off, and I'm sure Ms. Hahn can tell us again what that reason is, but that's fall off from $606,000 in the current year budget to $30,495. And that's because you're not using the general fund balance. So that represents your total revenues for FY 22-23 of $109,267,366. And again, that's a $12 million increase above your total revenues from the current fiscal year. And there you have a kind of shows you where the breakdown is in terms of local sources, state sources, federal sources, and other sources as well. Expenditures. Now I'm going to have to look at it here because I can't even see that. So our expenditures for FY. So this is going to show you where we are in the current budget. This just shows you where things are in the current budget. It should say proposed 22-23, and you can see the breakout of all of the expenditures. And you all went through all of these, and again, I mentioned the schools at $59,156,630, and public safety at 16,170,000, and debt service at 7,303,000. And then you can see as you go down all of those changes. Next. And as you can see also, there is a dollar broken out according to the various categories of expenditures in the 22-23 budget. It just shows you how much is taken up. 54% again is school related. And then of course the non-school is that 46%, with the largest portion of that going to public safety. Next. I will certainly answer any questions. Again, I just appreciate the hard work you all put into it and the staff's efforts. So.
Any questions for Mr. Miller? Nope. Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. I will now open the floor up for public comment. If there's anyone here who'd like to give public comment, you would have 3 minutes at the podium. Seeing no one. Mr. Dines, anybody online? Okay. Anybody have any written statements that were received or anything? Okay. Seeing none, we will then close public comment. And now I'll bring it back to the board for consideration.
So, are we done with the public comment, a public hearing comment? Okay.
Okay, yes.
So we had asked, and I think we visited with you about this, Mr. Chairman, about adding those two other items because the PPTRA percentage, Ms. Hahn, you might want to explain that, but, and then the adopt the tax rates calendar for FY22. Do you want to?
So the whole process this year has been kind of drawn out, long and drawn out. And when we were approved the rates for the personal property tax, when we visited this during our budget work sessions, it was mentioned what the PPTRA would be, but by county ordinance, we need to have an action item and a vote on it. So that's why I asked so it could be on tonight because these last two items here are what's holding up the tax bills from going out. So if we can go ahead and get that done tonight, they can go ahead and send the tax bills out the treasurer's office. So the PPTRA is the Personal Property Tax Relief Act of 1998. Provides relief for any passenger car, motorcycle, or pickup or panel truck having a registered gross weight of less than 7,501 pounds. The vehicle must be owned or leased by an individual and not used for business purposes. Vehicles qualified for tax relief are noted on the tax bill and show a reduction for the portion of the tax. For qualified vehicles, the tax bill is reduced by the applicable tax relief percentage for the tax year on the first 20,000 value of that vehicle. If the qualified vehicle assessed value is 1,000 or less, the tax has been eliminated. Tax relief is calculated using King George County's effective tax rate in effect on August 1st, 1997. So for this calendar year, 2022, the tax relief percentage will be 24%. So I ask that the board adopt the proposed personal property tax relief rate for calendar year 2022 of 24%.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes.
Okay, and then the second action item that I had, you had already approved the real property tax rate of 64 cents at your meeting on May 24th. And then on June 1st, you approved the personal property tax rate of $3.25. Each of those are based on per 100 of assessed value. And the machinery and tools tax remain the same, but we need to have a motion to include all of those in it. And that remains the same at $2.50 per 100 of assessed value. So I'm asking that you adopt the proposed tax rates for calendar year 2022 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hahn. Okay, this finishes up our action items. So do we have a motion?
I move to adjourn until June 22nd at 6:30 in the boardroom.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.